Do you want to expand?
Okay. As we discussed and analyzed in our internal biological opinion for this permit application, as well as the recent letter by Patrick Coburnis, the butterflies can move through these areas. They can move. They can move between houses. They cross roads. So they can move back and forth between the Northeast Ridge and other parts of the mountain. And it's, I was thinking about this as I was driving down, and it's not, I think it's important to remember that it's not that you need a continuous stream of butterflies moving back and forth. What you need is enough movement to maintain genetic homogeneity. And so, you know, that could be as few as one butterfly a season moving from, for example, from the Southeast Ridge to the Northeast Ridge. So it's, you know, that's different from, you know, a constant stream of butterflies like you might see with monarch butterflies at some of the wintering roosts moving around.
One last, if I may.
Okay.
You mentioned the writing that you had written 20 years ago.
Yes.
If you would not write it today.
That's correct.
And I know the letters I wrote 20 years ago, you wouldn't want to look at it today, for sure. So, you just answered two of my questions.
Okay.
Would you tell me in 10 years, if I ask you this question, would you tell me that I stand by what I said, or would you say, well, with what I know now, I wish I would have given you a different answer?
I would say that that the decision that the Fish and Wildlife made on this permit is the correct one, and hopefully in 10 years I won't have to say, well, if only, you know, the amendment was approved and you know, the invasives and the coastal sage didn't take over the mountain, you know, the butterflies would still be there.
Thank you. Thank you, Mimi.
Thank you, gentlemen, for coming down from Sacramento. You have a question?
Sure.
Okay.
Mr. Nagano, just for information, it says here, in early June 2008, butterfly counters recorded over 200 silver spots during an annual survey, a walkabout on Buckeye Canyon. Do you do these annual surveys, or do you do it every so often?
No, we don't. Those are done by the plant operator.
By the plant operators themselves?
Correct.
Okay. This comes from Bay Nature, incidentally. If you,
Oh, okay.
Yeah. The other question I had was, do you have an idea of how much habitat was taken when they built on the other side of the hill in South San Francisco and put those monstrous apartments on?
You mean Terra Bay?
Well, Terra Bay for one, yes, and then the other one with the high-rise that's not renting.
You know, I don't have that information
No,
off the top of my head. I can get it for you if you want. But
I didn't hear much about the silver spot there, where there is a significant amount of habitat that was gone. I think the thing that we heard a lot about was the shell mound that was saved,
Right.
and that's fine.
well, that was prior to the Calippi's listing.
Right.
You know, Mission Blue was an issue over there in Terra Bay, though.
You speak of Mission Blue, and I have mixed feelings about that, because it wasn't too long ago when the development of the Presidio of San Francisco started. The Mission Blue was one of the problems that they encountered over there. So this is not, the Mission Blue isn't just native to this particular area.
Well, actually, the one you might be thinking of over there would be the Xerces Blue, and that's one that went
I'm not an entomologist, so you'll have to
that's
excuse
the
me.
butterfly that went extinct in 1943. I think it was when they built, the last known population was when they built the parking lot at the, I think it's the Public Health Service Hospital. But, that was,
I read this fairly recently, and that was when that movie producer was building his,
George Lucas.
Lucas was building his stuff, and that's when he ran into the Mission Blue.
Well, I'm not sure about that. I know there are
That's-
3 listed
That's
plants.
neither here nor there.
Okay, there are 3 listed plants up there that are of concern, though, 3 endangered plants.
I've also heard that there was in other areas grazing used to get rid of all the a lot of the invasive species, and therefore leaving the feeding grounds for the Calliope silver spot. Do you guys have any knowledge of grazing?
Grazing can be a very important tool, livestock grazing. You don't want to overgraze, but you don't want to undergraze. There are other management tools, like Mike mentioned, the use of fire, hand removal. But grazing is an important tool that's being used to manage bay checker spot down in San Mateo and Santa Clara counties.
Oh, they do that over there.
That's right.
Thank you. And this is just a comment, I think. I read this in a report. It says on the Fort Mojave, Super 38, California, fourth appellate, it says the same reasoning applies here. The project's potential effects on Calliope were fully evaluated in the project EIR, and the listing of the Calliope as endangered species does not change those effects. Therefore, a subsequent or supplemental EIR is not required. That's the appellate court's ruling. Have you heard of that?
I think that's a
Mojave, that was the atomic dump that they were going to propose.
Oh, that was probably the
Mojave
Desert
Indians,
Tortoise. I'm not sure about that, and if it's CEQA, it would be a state issue, which we
So this
don't get involved.
this principle would apply here as well.
I don't know. I would have to talk to our solicitor, or your city attorney might
Okay,
have some insight.
thank you.
Any other question? Gentlemen, thank you for coming down, and have a safe trip back to Sacramento.
Thanks. Thanks for your time.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.